You guys will never believe what happened. I'm Chloe, living in the lakeside town of Cresthaven, chasing my dream of becoming a painter who captures the soul of fleeting moments on canvas. Tonight, I slipped out to the park to watch the sunset, just me and my sketchbook, when Liam, my neighbor, a retired photographer with salt and pepper hair, warm green eyes, and a voice that could frame a moment like a perfect shot, sat down beside me. Our small talk stretched through the fading light, and let's just say the sunset wasn't the only thing glowing. Want to know how it went down? Keep watching, because this story's all about one evening that burns brighter than the horizon. Like and subscribe for more. The evening was crisp in Cresthaven, the air alive with the hum of crickets and the gentle lapping of the lake, its scent of damp earth and water weaving through the park's grassy expanse. Chloe had escaped to the park after a day in her attic studio, her latest canvas a vibrant swirl of sunset oranges and lake blues still drying in her historic family home. The house, with its creaking oak floors and ivy-draped windows, was her sanctuary, but tonight, she craved the open air, her sketchbook tucked under her arm, her painting's bold strokes mirroring the dangerous desires that simmered beneath her poised exterior, always seeking a spark to ignite them. Tonight, those desires flared on a park bench, sparked by Liam, her neighbor, whose quiet artistry had become a frame she couldn't stop admiring. At 61, Liam was a retired photographer whose understated charm had intrigued Chloe since she returned to Cresthaven a year ago after art school. His salt and pepper hair was tousled by the breeze, his warm green eyes carried the depth of decades, capturing moments through a lens, and his hands steady from years of adjusting shutters moved with a quiet, deliberate grace that felt like a perfectly composed shot. His evening, Chloe, in passing, paired with a gentle smile, had always felt neighborly but distant, like a photograph in a gallery. She'd told herself it was just appreciation for a neighbor who'd once shown her a vintage photo of the lake, who'd admired her paintings during a backyard chat. But her dangerous desires, always lurking, stirred a curiosity she couldn't quiet, and tonight, those desires burned brighter when Liam joined her on the bench. Chloe had settled on a weathered wooden bench overlooking the lake, the sunset painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and pink, its reflection shimmering on the water. She wore a light sweater, her hair loose, catching the fading light as she sketched the horizon, her pencil moving with the same restless energy as her heart. The park was quiet, the grassy hill dotted with old oaks, the air thick with the scent of lake water and autumn leaves. She hadn't expected company, but footsteps crunched behind her, and Liam appeared, his camera bag slung over his shoulder, his flannel jacket open, his smile warm but curious. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, his voice a low hum, like a shutter clicking softly, his green eyes catching hers in the sunset's glow. "Sure," Chloe said, her voice light but daring, scooting over on the bench, her sketchbook resting on her lap. "Didn't peg you for a sunset chaser, Liam." Her hazel eyes glinted with a playful challenge, her dangerous desires, nudging her forward as he sat beside her, the bench creaking softly under their weight. The sunset deepened, its colors bleeding into the lake, and their conversation started. Light her sketches, his latest photo project, but the fading light cast an intimate glow, like a canvas waiting for its first stroke. Chloe's mind drifted to flashes of their past interactions, each a snapshot in their quiet connection, carrying the quiet power of a shared moment, like a song spreading through a community. She recalled their first meeting when Liam had waved from his porch, a camera in hand, his eyes lingering as he complimented her mural on the garden fence. Another memory surfaced a summer afternoon when he'd invited her for lemonade, sharing a story about a Paris photo shoot, his voice warm as she teased him about his old Polaroid collection. Then there was the quiet moment when he'd admired her sunset canvas, his hand brushing hers as he pointed to a stroke, his voice soft. "You've got a photographer's eye for light, Chloe." A more recent evening flickered when she'd lingered at his gate, returning a borrowed photo book, his gaze holding hers as he said, "You make Cresthaven feel like a frame." Each memory carried a spark she'd tried to dismiss, blaming his reserve on neighborly distance. But now, on the bench, the air hummed with possibility, like a photograph waiting to develop. Their conversation flowed, the sunset's glow softening their words, the lake's hum a quiet pulse in the background. Chloe opened up more than she'd planned, the intimacy of the moment loosening her guard. She spoke of her painting, how it felt like capturing a moment's soul before it slipped away. "It's like, I'm trying to hold on to something fleeting," she said, her voice soft but fervent, her fingers brushing the sketchbook's edge, its texture grounding her. I want my art to make people feel alive, like a sunset you can't forget. Does that sound too ambitious? Her hazel eyes met his, searching for the man behind the gentle smiles, her dangerous desires, urging her to push beyond the small talk. Liam nodded, his hand resting on the bench, close enough that she could feel its warmth, a quiet strength like a perfectly timed shot. Not too ambitious, he said, his voice low, resonant, like a photographer framing a scene. Your paintings have that spark, Chloe. I saw it in that sunset piece you showed me alive, like a moment frozen in time. It's captivating. His words were measured, but a new weight lingered in them, a hesitation that made her pulse quicken, her curiosity flaring like a stroke finding its mark. She tilted her head, the bench creaking softly, the scent of lake air mingling with the cedar wood of his cologne and the faint dampness of the grass. Captivating? She teased, her voice playful but edged with daring, her hazel eyes locking on his, their green depths reflecting the sunset's glow like a lens. That's a big word for the neighbor who just paints in her attic. You sure you're not just being kind because I'm sketching your sunset? Her dangerous desires pushed her forward, the bench narrowing to just their shared space. The crickets hum a soft pulse, the lakes shimmer a quiet backdrop. He chuckled, his hand shifting closer on the bench, his eyes holding hers a moment longer than usual, a flicker of something unguarded in his gaze. I'm not that kind, he said, his voice warm but tinged with a quiet intensity, like a photographer revealing a hidden frame. You're not just the neighbor, Chloe. You've got this fire in your art, in the way you sit here sketching a sunset. It's hard to pretend this is just small talk. The sunset's hues deepened, curling around them like a gentle flame, the air heavy with the scent of cedarwood and the weight of their moment, the lake's reflection casting golden flecks across their faces. Chloe's mind raced, weaving through more memories that deepened their connection. She remembered a spring evening when Liam had stopped by to share a photo of Cresthaven's pier, lingering to discuss her latest sketch, his voice warm as he said, "You see beauty like a photographer sees light." Another moment flickered a fall afternoon when he'd helped her hang a canvas in her garden, his hand brushing hers, his smile brief but carrying a warmth that lingered in her chest. There was the time he'd paused at her door, admiring her painting of the lake at dusk, his voice soft as he said, "Your work stays with me, Chloe." And a quiet moment last week, when he'd leaned over the fence, his eyes catching hers as he said, "You make Cresthaven feel like a photograph." Each memory was a snapshot, tightening the frame between them, pulling her closer to the edge of something bold, her heart pounding with the possibility that his reserve was hiding a deeper image. The conversation stretched on, the sunset fading to a soft purple, the clock nearing PM, the lakes hum a quiet pulse in the background. Chloe shared more than she'd intended, her dangerous desires loosening her tongue. She spoke of her fears that her paintings might go unnoticed, her dream to create art that lingered like a memory. Sometimes I wonder if I'm chasing something impossible, she admitted, her voice softer now, her fingers brushing the sketchbook, its texture grounding her. But when I paint, it's like I'm alive in a way I can't explain. Do you ever feel that way about photography? Her eyes searched his, her heart seeking not just connection, but a glimpse of the man beneath, the photographer, the lake's hum echoing her pulse. Liam leaned closer, his elbow brushing hers on the bench, the contact sending a spark through her like a stroke hitting the perfect canvas. Every time I capture something that feels true, he said, his voice low, resonant, like a photographer sharing a private shot. Your sunset painting did that, Chloe. It's not just art, it's you, poured onto the canvas. That kind of fire, it's rare. His words carried a new intensity, a crack in his reserved facade, and the air between them shifted, the sunset's glow amplifying the moment, her plan gaining momentum like a photograph developing in light. Hey guys, Chloe said, her voice bright but laced with mischief, as if speaking to her imaginary audience, her eyes glinting as she leaned back, breaking the tension for a moment. We're about to get into the spicy portion of the story, so please don't forget to like and subscribe. She grinned, the words a playful nod to her daring, but her heart pounded as she shifted closer, her shoulder brushing his, the contact sending a spark through her like paint hitting a blank canvas. You stayed, she said softly, her voice charged with truth, her hazel eyes unwavering. You could have gone home, Liam, but you're still here, watching the sunset with me. Why does it feel like this isn't just about the view anymore? The moment held, the silence electric, The lakes hum a soft pulse as the bench narrowed to just them, the weathered wood, the fading sunset, the lake's silver shimmer casting shadows like a spotlight. Her heartbeat quickened, her breath steady but charged, her dangerous desires burning brighter like a bold stroke across a canvas. She'd come to sketch alone, but now, with Liam beside her, her plan was unfolding, the air alive with possibility, the crickets hum a rhythm to their unspoken dance. Liam's gaze softened, a slow smile tugging at his lips, his voice low, strained but warm, like a shutter clicking on a perfect moment. "It's not just the view, Chloe," he said, his eyes flickering to her hand near his, then back to hers, a spark of something unguarded breaking through his reserved demeanor. "You've got this way of pulling people in, making them see the world through your art. I stayed because I didn't want to leave." His words echoed the quiet power of a shared moment, like a song resonating through a community. Her smile widened, her heart soaring, the tension a living thing between them, pulsing like the sunset's fading glow. "Maybe I like keeping you here," she said, her voice teasing but honest, leaning closer, her shoulder brushing his, the contact electric, sending a shiver through her like paint spilling across a canvas. "Maybe I don't want you to go home yet." Her eyes locked on his, the lake's hum swelling like a cue, her plan unfolding in the charged silence. He laughed, a low, warm sound, his hand resting closer on the bench, his fingers brushing hers, the touch sparking a fire in her chest that felt like a painting coming to life. "Your trouble, Chloe," he said, his voice rich with amusement and intensity, his green eyes twinkling with a warmth she hadn't seen before, like a photographer uncovering a hidden frame. "I've been trying to keep my distance, to keep things neighborly. But you sit here, sketching a sunset, and I'm supposed to stay composed? You're reframing every shot I've got." Her breath caught, the bench shrinking further, the sunset's last light framing them like a final act on a stage. Her friend's warning echoed faintly, "He's just being polite, Chloe. Don't read into it," but her friend was wrong. This was real, raw, and electric, a moment painted in bold strokes. "Maybe I like reframing shots," she said, her hand pressing lightly against his, the touch grounding her like a canvas under a brush. "What do you want, Liam? Now that we're here, watching the sunset together." He leaned back slightly, his smile slow, deliberate, his eyes tracing her face like he was focusing a lens. "I want to see where this picture goes," he said, his voice soft but weighted, like a photographer unveiling a hidden image. "You're bold, Chloe, bolder than I was ready for. You sit here, with that spark in your paintings, in your eyes, and you're turning my world upside down. I'm not sure I want to stop you." The air was thick with possibility, the crickets hum fading to a soft pulse, the bench alive with their shared moment, the lakes hum a quiet rhythm in the background. Chloe's dangerous desires burned brighter, her heart racing with the thrill of her plan coming to life, the intimacy of the bench amplifying every glance, every word, as resonant as a song spreading through a community. "You're making it really hard to keep this neighborly," she teased, her voice a mix of playfulness and truth, her hazel eyes locked on his, her courage holding her steady like a brush in her hand. He chuckled, his fingers curling slightly around hers, the touch warm and electric, like a spark in a quiet darkroom. "Neighborly's overrated," he said, his voice low, rich, carrying the weight of their moment, the sunset's last light casting a golden glow across his face. "What do you want, Chloe?" Now that we're here, at dusk, hands touching. Her heart pounded, the memory of his words echoing, the spark of his touch still warm on her skin. What did she want? The solitude of her studio, the quiet evening she'd planned? Or this him, the thrill, the fire he ignited in her heart, as vivid as her paintings, as enduring as a song's legacy? "I want to keep this," she said, her voice steady now, her eyes locked on his, her hand pressing against his, the contact grounding her like a finished painting ready to be hung. "This feeling, this moment, you." His smile widened, his eyes twinkling with warmth and intensity, like a photographer seeing a moment come to life. "That's a bold choice," he said, his voice soft but charged, the sunset's final hues fading into twilight, leaving only the faint hum of the lake and the cricket's gentle pulse. "But I've always been a fan of bold." The bench was still, the twilight, a soft glow, reflecting their moment like a perfectly framed painting. Liam's hand lingered near hers, the air alive with possibility, the sketchbook on her lap forgotten like a prop left on a stage. The lake shimmered in the distance, its silver light a quiet witness to their connection. "Good night, Chloe," he said, his voice soft but heavy with meaning, his eyes holding hers as he stood, offering her a way out but leaving the door wide open, the twilight casting long shadows behind him. "Good night, Liam," she said, her voice a mix of teasing and truth, her heart pounding as she stayed on the bench, the spark between them brighter than the sunset's glow. She watched him walk away, Cresthaven's rhythm soothing, the lake's hum a soft applause in the night. As she leaned back, her heart ablaze with the thrill of what might come next, she knew her dangerous desires had burned brighter, turning a quiet sunset into a spark, leaving only a daring new chapter, one fearless stroke at a time. And that's how a sunset turned into something neither of us could walk away from. Cresthaven's got a way of making moments like this feel like art, doesn't it? If you love this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Chloe's Dangerous Desires. What's next for me and Liam? Stick around to find out. See you in the next one.